Hi guys, TechImp here. In today's video we will show you how to install Windows on your desktop. Basically it's a simple procedure and we will show you how to go step by step. The reason sometimes why we're doing Windows on our computers is because of the bloatwares that we collect over time. It doesn't matter if it's from programs or from the websites, or it's just in general. It's not that it's recommended to do it every month, but within a year at least once it would be recommended to do Windows. Again, depends of how often you're using your Windows. Because sometimes you could if you're using it less than 2 hours a day, your Windows might be okay for even a year and a half. But again, considering that Microsoft is sending us updates constantly, it would be good to get rid of the old files that are sitting on the computer and to install new Windows. So let's go step by step. First thing we should do is we open the web browser that we have on our computer and we can type in Windows 10 download. Right. So usually what we are doing, we're downloading it directly from the Microsoft page, which is the most secure and more up-to-date Windows. It has the latest upgrades, latest updates, latest patches and antivirus updates. So you shouldn't be worried about any additional problems that you might occur, if you're an older Windows version, or if you're downloaded from third party, which is definitely not recommended. So in this case, at the moment, we have two options: either update the Windows 10, which is the latest update from the May 2020, and it's 2404 version, or we can download the same Windows 10 with the latest update and create it in our own media. It doesn't matter if it's going to be an ISO used on the DVD, or we can use a USB to create Windows installation. So in this case we're going to download the installation media. We're going to download the small program that would manage to create Windows on our USB. The procedure, it takes a bit longer than usual. In this case we're using i5, which is quad-core CPU, and we're using actually very good internet, which is 1 gigabit. It's downloading very fast in our case. In your case might be different, but just a heads up, it's gonna take some time to download the media and to put it on the USB. So in the first thing, we're having license terms with Microsoft. So basically just telling you what you shouldn't do, should do, what actually Windows 10 basically is doing behind our back. I'm joking. So in this case, we're gonna go with accept, right? Again, Windows is collecting the data and information of our computer, and it's telling to the server that we're gonna download the Windows 10 what kind of Windows we might actually need, or if our computer is compatible with Windows 10. In the case of, let's say, 2012, even newer computers, Windows 10 is compatible, but most of them will require BIOS updates. So when this program loaded up, it's showing us two options: either we're going to upgrade the PC or create installation media, which is going to be either USB, DVD, or ISO that could be used for another computer, right? In our case, we're going to use the create installation media. We're going to press next. In this case here, it's showing us automatically what our Windows let's say, what our computer will actually require, what type of Windows, right? So automatically from the Microsoft server, we were sent to download Windows 10. It doesn't say Pro, it doesn't say Home, it doesn't say anything. Architecture 64-bit because our CPU is compatible with 32 and 64, so he's looking for the more developed one. So we're going to go with the 64. And language, English, UK. We can change those things by pressing use recommended options for the PC. We can change that, and here we can change the language. Here it's only one Windows 10 that we can actually use. And in architecture we can use either 32-bit or 64-bit. Now here, if you want, you can download both, which we did already, and it's already on the USB ready for the installation. The reason for that is like because most of the older computers, like with the less RAM, for example, like if they have a 4 or 8, they would still work with the 64 bits, and older computers, like, they would work with the 64, like, but it's preferable kind of for the older systems, like, or the one that are around 4 GB of memory, to use the 32. Not necessarily, but that's in our case. So we're gonna go with recommended. We can go like with the both. So the next, if you press the next option, choose media which to use. So the first one, USB flash drive, is gonna download the installation on the USB, and is going to create the bootable option from the USB. On the second one, it's ISO file, which is going to download the file, and that file could be burned on the DVD, or again it could be created like on the USB drive, like via different programs as an bootable USB or DVD drive, or whichever option is easier. In our case, like, make sure if you're using like the USB drive, that USB drive like is minimum 8 GB, because the installation of the single 64-bit Windows like is around 4.5 GB. Completely, like, you know, with the both of them, like 32 and 64-bit would require minimum 8 GB. So what we're doing here, we're going to select the USB, we're going to press next, and here it's already showing the drive that is in the system and that would be required to install the Windows Media that we're going to download directly from their servers. So once we press next here, there's a procedure from them that's going to send us first the file, that's going to unpack on the USB, that's going to install on the USB, and the second procedure is that they're going to take hold that file and create a bootable option that the USB will be visible in the BIOS. And once we select the USB from the BIOS, the Windows installation is going to start automatically. So let's start. Now, since we are using Dell Optiplex to install Windows on our, in this situation, SSD, first what we have to do is like go to the menu, BIOS menu of the motherboard, and install and check actually if everything is okay. So system configuration, boot sequence. Now in this case we have two options here. We have a boot option, legacy, and UEFI. For the newer system, it is recommended like to do the UEFI procedure. For the older one that are not really compatible like with the Windows 10, it is recommended with legacy. So what we're going to do, we're going to leave the BIOS, and on the booting up of the system, we're going to press F12, which is an option like on a Dell Optiplex systems to boot either from the hard drive, from the network, from the USB, or from the hard drive. Now here, like, we have few options. It says boot mode is set to UEFI, secure boot is off. Secure boot is, it means like you need to have a password, but in this case we're going to concentrate ourselves like on the installation of the Windows. So considering that our boot mode on this computer is set to UEFI, we're going to use UEFI from the USB drive. We're going to press enter, and it's giving us two options here, which system we want to install, which Windows 10. Is it 32-bit or 64? Considering that this is a newer system and we have 8 GB of memory, we're going to go for the 64-bit installation of Windows 10. Now the loading times on the hard drives, older crowd will probably remember, like for example like Windows 95, Windows 98, even Windows XP, they actually took a very long time, and they took so many medias. At that time they were like floppy drives. Windows XP, it was coming on the CD drive, which was like 768 megabyte, which it wasn't bad, but it took, because the hard drives were very slow at that time, and they were IDE connection. It took around an hour just to install Windows. So delete the old one, prepare the system for the installation, format the hard drive, and then install. So the installation, like once you get to the main screen, it took around 45 minutes like to finish the process of the Windows XP. The newer generations of the Windows, for example, like Windows Vista, was still a bit long, but it wasn't that bad. Windows 7 was one of the best Windowses beside Windows XP, and now we have a Windows 10. But the main advantage of all these kind of technologies and systems was because of new hardware that we have at the moment, which is solid state drives, which are much faster than the hard drives. They read faster, they write faster, they are smaller, there's no mechanical parts within the drive, so it's easy even to carry around. And considering that they are faster, installation of the Windows takes much less than it was in the past. Now here we have the Windows setup screen. It's showing us basic things. Basically it's telling us what language to install, considering that we downloaded the media from the Microsoft server that is English UK edition. That would be the main language to add on, and the time and currency format, it's still we can change that part, like let's say to Ireland. Keyboard and output method are going to be Irish. That can be changed to any language you wish. So we're going to press next. We can repair a computer, but in this case, like we want to have a clean slate, so we're going to start installing Windows from scratch. We're going to press install button. We're going to wait a few seconds until Windows loads up all hardware that's actually present within the computer. At the moment we have SSD and DVD drive. Here we're getting a license terms again, like from the Microsoft. Basically, like you can read through. Most of us, like it's just advanced user, like we just pass on to, because we know what's there. We press the next button. Now here we have two options, like again, do we want to upgrade Windows, which means like keeping our files within the Windows, and it means like you're kind of refreshing it, but the applications, so basically like you're gonna get the fresh Windows on it, like, and you're gonna still keep your files, but the programs that you installed after the first installation of the Windows will be deleted, so basically like you will have to install them again. Or we want to do the custom Windows, which means like it's going to delete all files and everything that you have on the drive, and you're going to start literally from the scratch. It means like it is recommended like for you, before you even proceed to this step, like to back up all your data on the separate drive. That's could be external hard drive, USB, depends of the amount of the data that you have, right? So here we have a few partitions that Windows 10 created like previously. This is 240 SSD, if I'm not mistaken, from SanDisk or Silicon Power something. So basically, like, what we're going to do, we're going to delete all partitions that we have here, and there we go. And we're going to press a new button, 244, so it could be even 260, I'm not 100% sure. Size SSD, we're going to press apply. To ensure all that Windows features work correctly, Windows might create an additional partition for system files. That's the system partition that you saw recently, like that we deleted. Press OK. To format additionally SSD, you can press this button. It's just gonna do another layer of zeroing all data off the SSD. And we have kind of fresh, Windows is gonna, like, you know, recognize it as a fresh new solid state drive, like that you can install files like without copying or interfering with the previous files that were on it. So when we are ready, we can press next button. In case if you don't see your hard drive or SSD here on this list, it means like that the Windows didn't recognize any storage solution. That means like that either your hard drive is not present or you didn't connect the cables properly. So what we're gonna do here, considering that we set up everything, we're just gonna press next button, and we're gonna wait for Windows installation to do its job. It usually takes around 5 to 10 minutes tops, so it's not really long procedure to work with Windows 10 and its installation. Now our Windows finished the installation. He rebooted the computer itself, and is going to proceed with other installation that are required, like for our system. Starting services, basically, like, it's going to ask you about setting up the username, the password, the location if you want to turn it on. He's going to ask you like for the in some cases, like Windows is going to ask you like for the serial key. If you don't have it, there's always options like on the internet that you can pick it up for cheap price. Considering that this is OEM system, most of the Dell computers, like, they came with a pre-installed Windows key, which is much easier to work with. And once you connect network cable to your computer, Microsoft will automatically activate Windows for you. The second time that computer restart, and in this case it's gonna lead us to one of the screens, like where we're gonna, like you see, like, let's start with the region, basic settings again for the Windows. In this screen, like, this Windows, you can see, like, you know, all countries around the world, like which one you want to select like as your country, and you can install Windows. Next one is going to ask you which keyboard you want to use. So again, you have plenty of options over there. In this case, we're using the Irish one. Do you want to add second keyboard? No, we don't. We're going to skip for it. This is the part, like, where if your computer is connected to the network, to the internet, it's going to ask you, like, it's going to go continue, like, straight away, like, to their server, where they're going to require asking you for the email and attaching your email account, like, from the Microsoft, like, to this computer. That means, like, everything will be backed up, like, directly to their servers. So in case, like, if you forget your password, or if you are if someone else tried to access your computer, they won't be able, and you will get a notification from it. Of course, you can disable that, and your files are sort of be protected just within this computer. Now in this case, because our network cable is disconnected, we're gonna press we don't have internet. There's more There's more to discover, connect to the internet, etc., etc. So once you go on the internet, like he's gonna pick up automatically activations, connect to your email, updates, etc., etc. So we're gonna continue with the limited setup. Like I said, like the procedure is not hard, it's not long, it's very straightforward with the basic options that you can deal with. Most of the time, like the whole installation, whole process, like of the installation of Windows 10, like wouldn't take like longer than 20 to 25 minutes. Now he rebooted because we said like we don't have the network connection. We rebooted, went for the limited setup. Again, we're gonna press no to the internet, continue with the limited setup. And here he's gonna ask you, like, if we went online, this screen would be with a question to ask us, like, what is our email address within the Microsoft server. Considering that we skipped that part, we want to have like a standalone account on this computer. We're just gonna use like without internet. Who's gonna use this PC? We're gonna type in just a user. Next, do you want password or you want to skip password? Now this is totally up to the user. If you want a password, type it in whichever password you want. If not, leave it blank and just press next. Now, do you do more with your voice? Do you want to use Cortana on it or not? It's not recommended because if you are, let's say, on the lower amount of RAM that your computer is actually using, we are okay here, like because we have 8. But if you are, let's say, on 4, background applications can actually kind of slow down the whole process, whole enjoyment of the Windows 10. So most of the applications that we have here in the beginning while we installing the Windows 10, we are switching off. Let Microsoft and apps use your location. No, we don't want to do that. The reason why no is because so many ads are popping out. For example, like if you're on the Google search, or using Facebook, or basically like even notifications on the web pages that you're visiting from time to time, they automatically pick up your location. So basically like whatever is around you, like for example newspapers, some kind of sales, shops, things like that you're not even interested in, they will be popping out like within your location, like on those pages. So we're gonna switch it off. Find my device. Choose your settings, then select accept to save them. Turn on to find my device location. So for example, like if you want to go online with your email account, you can and you lose your phone, for example, with your computer you can target, unless the battery is removed, you can target and find like where your device has been lost, and easier to find. If you're not up for that kind of feature, you can switch it off and it's not going to be tracked. Send Diagnostic to Microsoft. They don't really have to know what you're doing, how you're doing and everything. If you're an advanced user, you can send a basic, send required and optional, or send just a Diagnostic. So this means like if there's some issue within the Windows, or they can track like if there's a problem, software updates, program updates that's actually coming from the Windows, etc., etc. Or there's kind of like error codes like that during the usage of the Windows you don't really see. The Windows automatically send, or for example, if the programs are not compatible with the Windows 10, they automatically send issues to the Microsoft server. They try to sort it out, solve the problem, and then send you again. After rebooting of your system, like they send you the update like to fix the issue. Sometimes it works, sometimes it not, but we usually kind of just go like with send Diagnostic, that's it. But later on just switch off to basic one. Improve inking and typing. Right, now this is more like send optional inking and diagnostic data to Microsoft to improve language recognition and suggestion capabilities of apps and services running on Windows. Don't use my diagnostic data. So we usually go with don't use diagnostic. Diagnostic data, no to tips. let apps use your advertising ID. This is what I'm saying about the locations, the switching off the data and everything. Like basically, like what they're asking you here is like to allow them to send you a pop-up messages like on your desktop, saying, let's say, if you have in your local area Harvey Norman, or you have B&Q, or you have a local shops like a Duns and things like that, like, and if there's some offers on it, they automatically send you like through their channels, like that there's sales that you can visit on, and everything is actually stored, like they follow you like with your email that you register yourself like with the account with the computer. They automatically follow you like with every location that you even go, like, and then telling you like, you know, the sales are here, the sales are there. Or this is kind of like a sword with two blades, like, because you have to be careful who you share your information with, considering that we are in the GDPR era. Most of the time we are switching this off, so the number of ads you see won't change, but they may be less relevant to you. And we're going to press accept. Do more across device with activity history. So again, like this is a sharing what you're doing on the computer, you can do on your phone or tablet or laptop, so everything is kind of like synced together. Do we want to do that? No. You could opt with it, like, but we're usually trying to avoid that part. Now this screen here is a slower version, well, it's not slower version, like, but this here, like, it's again taking time for Windows to unpack and sort the settings that you actually pre-applied, like now in the previous screen, with your username, with your password, with your location settings, background, running applications, what is allowed, what is not allowed to send to the Microsoft servers. All those parts are actually very important, even in the basic settings, because later on Microsoft could be actually lock you out and you won't be able to change certain things because you pre-apply them like in the Windows installation. Again, this screen is going to take only a few minutes, and for the simple reason that because we have SSD, which is faster reading, faster writing option, so it's not going to take ages like it was with the hard drives. With the hard drives, like usually this could take like half an hour, depends on the speed of the hard drive, but most of the time, like, we're talking about like 25 to 30 minutes because the hard drives are slower. SSDs are faster. SSDs are the future together with NVMEs. So as you can see, like, we are already in Windows. Everything is prepared, everything is done, everything is sorted. Our hard drive is present alongside with the USB drive. Here, as you can see, like, Windows is not activated, and the reason for that, like, is because the computer is not connected to the internet. Once that is connected, and we already have a, considering, like I said, like it's OEM computer, it's going to automatically pull the activation for this Windows, so you won't have to be bothered like with activating Windows yourself. But if you have to and you don't have the key, if you don't have the Windows that's activated, you can press button here, activate Windows, and change produce key. Once you have the key that you bought from the retailer or directly from the Microsoft, you can type it in here, and your Windows on the next connection to the internet will be activated. So I hope you guys enjoy today's video. We know that it's basic things, basically, like everyone nowadays like knows more or less like how to install Windows. It's not hard, it's very simple actually, like, to do it. Maybe just that kind of like installation of the USB Windows to kind of put like Windows on the USB, it's kind of might be a bit tricky with people like who are not kind of familiar with it. But once you sort everything out and you know how your computer is working, how to access the BIOS or boot options, it's very straightforward. Like, as you can see in the video, like, it's just entering, deleting things that you're 100% sure that you can do it. After that is a straightforward procedure, like that you just press next, 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 format, finished, complete, and like you see, like we are actually on the Windows screen. We're almost ready to use it. The only thing that's missing is to pick up the few updates like for the Windows. I can show you the current version of this one, and it's 2004. My correction from the beginning of the video, which I said like 2404. So it's 2004 version. So it's the latest one that came in May. Again, I hope you enjoy video, and I'm gonna see you in the next one.